Welcome to an Achieving Science video. This video is going to look at the history of the atom. So like many things, the atomic structure has developed over time. This is because, following new experimental evidence, models are changed and even have to be replaced. Let's have a look at the history then. So before the discovery of the electron, atoms were thought to be just tiny spheres that could not be divided. Then, after electrons were discovered, this changed, and instead the Plum pudding model was adopted. Scientists thought then that charged particles were randomly spread out throughout a ball of positive charge. These charged particles were the electrons that were buried inside of the atom. This is kind of like if you imagine a chocolate muffin, that actually the chocolate chips were like the electrons that were buried within inside of the atom, the muffin in this instance. So following this, there were further experiments, and next came Rutherford and Marsden's experiments, which was crucial. Their experiment you need to be able to describe and draw conclusions from. So first of all, they started off by firing a beam of alpha particles at a thin foil sheet of gold. Alpha particles are made up of 2 protons and 2 neutrons, and therefore are positively charged. These were fired, and what they found was that most of them passed straight through and were undeflected. Secondly, they found that some were deflected, as they did pass through the gold foil. And finally, they observed that some bounced back. So following this then, Rutherford and Marsden had to draw some conclusions. So they looked at each observation and drew some conclusions. While following that most of them passed through undeflected, they said that the atom was mainly empty space. As some were deflected, they drew the conclusion that the nucleus was positively charged, because the alpha particles were also positively charged, this caused them to be deflected, i.e. they repelled from each other because they were like-for-like charges. The conclusion that was drawn from them bouncing straight back was that they collided with the nucleus, which is a very small area, as actual fact only 1 in 10,000 actually rebounded, and this is where the mass is thought to be concentrated. After this, the nuclear model was now replaced the Plum pudding model. The nuclear atom. This is where the atom has a nucleus at the centre. This has then been further developed. The nucleus has a positive charge, made up of particles which have the same amount of positive charge. We have now named these particles as protons. James Chadwick in 1932 provided evidence of neutrons within the nucleus. Then, following this, Niels Bohr further developed Rutherford's nuclear atomic model. He used experimental evidence to support the idea that electrons occupy particular orbits or shells, as we refer to, around the nucleus of the atom. This has therefore led to today's atomic structure, where at the centre there is a nucleus, and inside the nucleus there are protons and neutrons. And around this nucleus there are electrons that are found in orbits or shells.